Welcome to another coffee chat. Today we are we have our creative standard committee that we want to talk to everyone about the future and the last year and plans we have. Real quick, I wanted to read the mission for Creative Standard just for anyone that either hasn't heard it or is new to it. Creative Standard is fortifying and promoting the creative, professional, and economic success of local artists. The focus of Creative Standard is to convene artists regularly, provide information, opportunities, and resources, and to create and maintain standards of professionalism and integrity for the creative community to adhere and uphold. So yeah, to start off, we wanted to just introduce ourselves and give you a little background about each of us. My name's Jana Swec. I am a co-founder of Big Medium, and I sit on the board still. I'm a local painter. Try to get as many large-scale murals as I can, but sometimes I'm also just painting bathroom signs in restaurants. Yeah, hand it off to Court.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm excited to be a part of this conversation and this group. And my name is Court Lurie. I am a queer Jewish artist from Chicago. I've been in Austin 15 years. And by the grace of God, I've created a career as a painter, and I get to do this full time. So that's really one of the biggest blessings of my life. And it has come with a lot of hard work and a lot of faith, and a lot of honing my craft, and and navigating a route that has no clear pathway, but just literally making choices on the fly, based on my intuition and guidance. So why I joined this committee, I feel really lucky that we have a big medium in our town, and thank you to Jana and Shay and all the people that created it. And I started doing the East Austin studio tours when I first moved here, and then got involved, started working with Shay on a project with Art Post and Pump Project, where we were doing a springboard, a spring studio tour, and just started a relationship with Big Medium and with Shay. And I've always been a community organizer in my past life. Like in my 20s, I lived in New Mexico, and I was the program manager for the Albuquerque Arts Alliance there. And so I've always had this passion for wanting to create a sense of safety and inclusivity around everyone feeling like they can be a part of something. And so my work on this committee is also to kind of uphold the values of diversity and creating, hoping that we are doing work that is beneficial to artists who don't necessarily have a voice, and or young artists, or people who are just getting started, or who don't have experience, but trying to cultivate. One of the things that I love about Austin is how there feels like a sense of non-competitiveness in our art community here, but that there's really feels like a sense of cooperation. And so how can we use and utilize all of our talents and gifts and curiosities and experiences to enrich each other's lives, basically. I obviously could keep talking for a while, but I'm gonna pass it off to Caroline.
Thanks, Court. I love everything you had to say. And similarly, I'm primarily a painter, and am doing that full time. But I also am a dancer and a musician, and these things all come together in my work. Like, I couldn't do one without the other. It's all sort of a synesthetic mush. And I'm an Austin native. I went away for college to Brown and then lived in Paris for a few years, and lived in an art collective in a squat. And that was my first experience with being in a collective situation and recognizing that it was possible to make a life out of being an artist, and that you had to be pretty creative about it and that you needed other people to be part of that. And I moved back to Austin around 2007 and started doing the studio tour, became aware of Big Medium, eventually had a studio in the Bohm area. So it was more like, got to know Jana and Shay. And when this started, I found out about Creative Standard when they did a summit at, oh my God, it's been so long since I've been out. Springdale General.
Station.
Like, what is that place? Wow. They did a big summit. Some of you guys were probably there. And Shay talked a little bit about the mission of this idea of Creative Standard. And it almost sounded like an artist union. It was like a place where we could talk really frankly about pricing and licensing images and copyright and how do you like sell your work, or how do you get your work in one of those hotels, or just these kind of things that were definitely happening in Austin. But there's no clear route to like getting yourself into that spot. And as Court was saying, I don't think that's because artists are like stingy and hiding this stuff from each other. It's because we don't have a place where we can like talk openly about it, except just maybe one-to-one. And that got me really excited, and I wanted to be involved because I feel really lucky to make a living as an artist. It is hard, and you got to be creative about it, obviously, but I think more people could do it than do it. And I really like to encourage artists to feel like if that's something that they want, that it is possible, and that there are actual tangible steps we can take to teach each other and help each other get there. So that got me excited to be in this. Things have changed a little bit with the pandemic. Our roles have sort of shifted about what we want to do and can do for each other. And we'll get into that as a group, but that's what brought me here. So Aaron Weiss.
Hi everyone, I'm Aaron Weiss, documentary filmmaker here in town. Went to the New School University in New York City, and I've been back in Austin like 12 plus years, working full time, and been on the board of Big Medium for a couple of years, and really wanted to get involved with the programming committee, also known as Creative Standard, and help create professional development opportunities for artists and expand knowledge. We've got some fun ideas for potential programming this year, but we really want to keep this interactive. So all along the way, post questions in the Q&A or the chat, and we'll try to respond as when we get to them, and we'll also save time at the end for questions too.
I wanted to also mention that we would love to grow our Creative Standard Committee. So if anyone out there has any recommendations or is interested themselves, the best way to let us know would be to send an email to info@bigmedium.org. Yeah. There's also just, I think that Aaron at some point is going to put it in the chat for everyone to see. They're on the Big Medium website, on the Creative Standard page. There's a survey that we'd also love for anyone interested to fill out, but it basically is asking what people would like to see Creative Standard bring to the community, or just general questions about what artists would feel is missing in Austin, and what they basically, we need to know how everyone feels. To start our conversation, we wanted to sort of recap on 2020 programming, and obviously because of the pandemic, everything had to shift to online events, which Big Medium did an amazing job at starting to do 2 coffee chats a month, and have featured artists online every single month. But we, you know, we had a very interesting fall tour with everyone trying to figure out how to get their art in front of an audience. And like, one thing I think artists are so good at is problem solving and, you know, figuring out a way to beat all the odds. So what with, yeah, sorry, I'm talking a lot. Chime in. But yeah, I think one thing we're realizing this year is because we're still in a pandemic, one of the things that we have talked about within our committee is, you know, what can we still do? What are we still missing for artists in town? And one thing that kept coming up was just really being able to talk to each other more and feeling like we are still connected as people and artists here. So that's sort of what we're trying to wrap our brains around for this coming year, is how to create events or, you know, online presence with each other more. And we'll talk about that a little bit further.
And one of the things that we did, that the coffee chat had been happening in person, I think monthly before that. And so once we were suddenly all just shifted completely online, we started doing the coffee chats every week so that we could really create a place where artists could come and be together, even not together. And I know a lot of people would participate, or probably still are participating, you know, from their studio, like painting and listening, or just kind of using it as a part of their day to be inspired and to feel connected to each other. So we started doing that every week. And these coffee chats, if you're here, you're probably familiar with them, but they're usually, you know, an interview between two people, an artist, maybe another person in the art community. A lot of times they've been led in the past by a big medium employee, or by one of us committee members, but we will be expanding that out too. We're doing it bi-weekly this year. And we're going to have a little seasonal gap in the summer, but we're doing sort of a spring season and a fall season. And should I go ahead and talk about those coffee chats?
Yeah.
I'm just going to go for it. So far we only have one more scheduled planned for this year, but they are going to be every other Thursday. So in 2 weeks we have the artist Bailey Liu talking with the curator and art historian Annette Carlozzi, who was the former director at the Blanton, and who you guys probably know both of these people because they're pretty big names in the Austin art scene. And they will be in conversation on the 18th. And in the future, we're looking for more artists to interview. We're looking for more conversations to be had. So if there's somebody that you would want to interview, and you know, when we were thinking about this, it's like part of what the institution of Big Medium has to offer are like these kind of resources of connecting people that don't know each other. So, you know, maybe you want to interview your best friend, but maybe you want to interview somebody that you really look up to that you don't know, who's an artist in the Austin scene, or even national, international artists, because we're on Zoom, sky is the limit. So if there's somebody you want to interview, we would love to try to get that to happen if you don't have the immediate connection to them. The other thing we were thinking about is covering professional practices in this way. Like Jana had a suggestion about an art, what was it?
The amateur hour. Yeah, none of this.
No, not that. It was the
titles.
art advisor. It was like the I'm forgetting who it was, but it wasn't an art advisor. It was like an art appraiser who could talk about, you know, like the economics of the art scene, or other sort of art professionals, you know. So there can be a lot of different ways to have the coffee chat go forward. So, you know, that's one of the things. I think we have a Google Doc where you can fill out if there's somebody that you would want to interview, or, you know, if you have something in mind for that. That's one of our mainstays, especially in the pandemic, is using that coffee chat.
Yeah, the artists, we love the idea of artists interviewing other artists and really having sort of a conversation about art. Yeah.
And bringing it back home, like making it a space that's accessible and and accessible to pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zones as well. So like if you have had this, like some artist that you have dreamed of meeting in town and you feel so called to want to get to know this person or feel like their impact in the community could really enhance everybody's experience, please send us emails to that info@bigmedium.org with ideas. We're going to be going through them and not necessarily everything we can make happen, but it's a really cool way to kind of dream big and and also take advantage of the relationships that we have in our own community. Because this, again, I'll stress, like Austin is so unique in that we're so willing to kind of support and help each other. So let's like leverage that. And yeah.
Another thing that we worked on last year and that is now up and running is and a Big Medium artist registry. And the idea with this is that it's a place where you can show your work besides your own website, but also sell your work with kind of the help and the umbrella of Big Medium. It lives as like a studio tour that's always available for people, where you can have videos of yourself in your studio. And we did a big push in the summer, getting people involved, and that got it up and live. But I think in April there's going to be another big submission time where you can join that registry. So definitely check that out if you haven't seen it, the Big Medium Artist Registry. And that is another way that we've been trying to kind of give people a platform online while we can't be in each other's studios.
Well, and I forgot to mention too, one of the other programs that Creative Standard does is a once a month workshop of just, usually someone who, a professional coming in and talking about specific topics like pricing and, how to have an online presence and all those things. So again, the survey that we keep mentioning on the Big Medium Creative Standard page on the website, this is where we need to know what everyone wants to know about and learn about.
Yeah, sometimes those workshops are about marketing. They're usually in the evenings, but there's a great one on marketing, and I think there's a lot of them that have been cataloged even before the pandemic that were recorded that we're going to try to continue to release online. So I think all the stuff.
I know there was a good one on like taxes and like kind of the economics of being an artist and
all the fun stuff.
Oh yeah, all the stuff they don't teach you in school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, and then Court, do you want to tell us about what else we have that we're thinking about doing?
Flow into that. We're looking forward to programming into 2021, and in doing that, we've kind of been brainstorming about what ideas or what programming might be great for all of us. And some of the ideas that we've come up with, I'm going to talk about happy hours and art therapy, but it's not art therapy like you think about art therapy. So the happy hours, the idea around that is, and actually I don't know if we'll use that word or that term, but because when I think of happy hour, I think of like, oh, it involves drinking, and that's not really like, but a time where we can gather and it be super informal and it be a place where we can literally share our thoughts, maybe around a specific topic or a question, and just have an opportunity to hang out together and build relationships and friendships and just be in a space that be in a space that doesn't have to have a program. It doesn't have to have a theme. You know, it gives us an opportunity to just chill out in the pandemic and get to know each other, which I think is something that is really useful when we're feeling so lonely in our studios all the time, or at least I do. And
I just want to say too, like, that every time we have a coffee chat planned, like, Court will be like, can we make it not a webinar? Can we have everybody be there, please? And just for logistical reasons, it never makes, like, the coffee chat needs to be just the little panelists, but it's like, we need a place where it's where it's not a panel, it's just everybody who wants to have their video on can talk and just hang out.
yeah, able to see each other and see each other's faces. And
yeah, the pandemic took the, you know, the openings away from us.
Yeah, and I think that I think something also about like building communities, like taking responsibility for our own vision and not relying on necessarily like institutions to create programming that's going to feed what we need, but all of us kind of coming together and being like, okay, like this is what I really want. So I'm going to put energy and effort into getting to know other artists and building friendships, because that's friendships and like connections and collaborations is where we start to blossom. And yeah, it's just a new way to network. And then the art therapy idea is, so we have our first, we have our first official happy hour on February 19th. It's a Friday evening from 6 to 7 p.m. And I'll be there. I imagine Jana and Caroline and Aaron will also be there, or maybe not. Someone will be there and we'll be.
Someone will be there. You won't be alone.
You won't be alone. And we're gonna hang out. So, you know, we could dress in costumes, we can adorn our backgrounds with our artwork, and share our artwork that way. But yeah, we'll have a topic or a theme or an idea and share around that, and then just kind of shoot the shit, I was gonna say. So the art therapy idea is another thought about how to kind of engage when we're maybe when we get there, when we get to a point with our work where we would like some feedback or some input on something we're working on, or even just like, hey y'all, I've had this thing going on with this gallery and they're driving me crazy and I can't seem to understand why this thing that should have been insured didn't get handled, and but really talking about issues that are affecting us on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, or like I'm angry and I don't know how to get that into my art, or I'm depressed and I don't know how to get that, I mean, especially since the pandemic started, we just kind of felt like, we need a lot of ways to be around each other, and one of them is just being able to, express what's going on and try to, get towards transforming that into something that can be useful creatively. And sometimes it's just having some people that you can say that to. And we don't really know what this looks like. I mean, one possibility is that we actually have an art therapist or a social worker or somebody who has a license who can like be there for us. Another is that it's just a circle of people who are just, a safe place where we can talk to each other. So if you have ideas around this, if you know anybody who would want to be involved, who does have some sort of credential, that would be amazing. But this is just one of those things that we personally have felt like, yeah, that's something that could be really helpful.
I think for me, I find myself often in situations where I make the same mistakes in business or through, and I often just need to talk about it with other artists to just get, coached and hear their experiences. And we all just, I mean, going back to what Court was saying about what's so wonderful about Austin is, you know, that there isn't a very competitive vibe, and we like to take care of each other. And yeah, that's where what I would love to see out of the art therapy program is being able to just talk to each other and, you know, gain each other's experiences and knowledge and share.
Like peer support.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And cry and laugh.
I believe we've been stuck inside for a year.
Well, it's likely that, you know, somebody in the group will have some help or solution for somebody's issue.
Well, and artists, you know,
Totally.
artists are living a life that is not, you know, scripted, or is not, you don't learn a lot about how things go in school if you went to art school. And so yeah, I think we do really need each other to kind of navigate through a lot of the things that you only learn by trial and error.
Yeah.
And by talking to
Jana,
each
you
other.
want to talk? Oh yeah.
Oh, yes,
You want to talk
I
about the
will
open studios?
talk. Yes, so another idea that we're talking about is what we sort of lost during the pandemic, you know, the ability to go to each other's studios. How do we bring that back to each other? And the thought that we were having was similar to, you know, not a happy hour, but like where we come together and actually, like in our studios or wherever you create your art, if it's in your kitchen or whatever, be able to kind of take turns. And you know, it could be kind of a critique, but I think we're thinking more that it's really just like being able to meet in each other's studios and give tours of what we have. And you know, maybe people will say like, oh, I love that on the wall, like tell us about that. And but just to be able to create that really beautiful energy that the studio tour does offer artists. And the studio tour, you know, there's always been an ongoing sort of not complaint from artists, but just where we don't have the ability to go to each other's studios on the studio tour. And so it's another way too, to just get to know each other's studios and how we make our work. And yeah, that is the open studio sort of, I think we're like a show and tell sort of program.
Yeah, everybody could take
We
turns.
we haven't quite worked out like how many people does it make sense to have featured on that, or is it everyone who shows up, or you know, these are some of the details that like we have to get through before these things become real. But again, we really appreciate any feedback that you guys have on what you would want to see.
Yeah, and the studio visit also is like one of the things about the East Austin studio tour when we were doing it outside of the pandemic for all those years is like we never really got to see other artists because we were always in our studios, and artists always wanted to be able to participate. So this is now that we can take advantage of this time that we're all on Zoom and living a life on Zoom, to take advantage of that and really get to see what's going on.
Yeah.
In other spaces.
Sandra just commented and said, writers have editors to help them shape their work, but artists work isolated. It would be nice to have someone help shape visions objectively. And so, yeah, it sounds like it's almost like a mentoring situation. We could.
Yeah, I think so many of the programs that we're talking about here, like organically, there may be mentoring relationships that get formed through some of these connections that are made naturally. So that's where there's a real opportunity. What does Steve Wyman say? May I suggest a time limit for?
Yeah. It's probably a good idea.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's like a lot of ways we could fix that. I mean, you know, it could be one artist for an hour. It could be 4 artists and each get 15 minutes, or it could be like, you know, everybody who shows up gets to talk for 2 minutes. You know, there's a lot of different ways that this could play out.
Yeah.
And also, if anyone has suggestions on times of day, I mean, obviously that's going to be different for everybody, but that's the kind of thing you could put in the Google form, because we were thinking like, maybe we do this once a month in the evening and once a month in the daytime. Just, you know, artists have different schedules. So, yeah, figuring that out.
I think, did I miss anything on that? Yeah. Yeah. Well, and if anyone has suggestions again of ideas they have for a program, and maybe we've said that already, but these are just sort of what we've, you know, the things we'd like to pursue this year. So anyone have anything to say about those particular programs? We want everyone's feedback. But even if you have other ideas for other programs.
And you can also, you can write in the chat or the Q&A. You can also raise your hand if you want us to unmute you and share anything with us.
I mean, we've got some questions that we've just been discussing internally as a committee. You know, what is your ideal art community look like? I'm gonna put some of these in the chat and open for discussion here, but we can discuss it on our end too. If anybody has any ideas of what, and also, you know, what is the art community in Austin missing for you?
I think one of the,
go ahead, Corey.
no, go ahead, Erin. I'm sorry.
I was gonna add another question that was kind of similar, but go ahead.
Okay. One of the things that we had discussed bringing up, and it's very obviously sensitive, is how to have equity within and representation within like programming and leadership inside this committee. And so we would love to, you know, obviously open it up to people who are interested in joining to send an email and let us know why you're interested, what you can bring to the table, what's, you know, what you're curious about, and, you know, maybe some ideas that you might have for programming in the future. And then also I think we're starting to dialogue about, you know, racial inequity and how do we address that? So that's something that we're, you know, talking about, and it's a tricky conversation to have, and especially when we come from all different backgrounds and all different experiences and all different lives. But if anyone has any ideas about approaching those subjects or has experiences that they want to share that they felt like they haven't been seen or heard, you know, feel free to share that now. We're totally open to talking about it, and feel free to send any ideas or comments to the info@bigmedium in case you don't feel like sharing it here.
Yeah, we want to know
share the
how we
Google
can
Doc
support you.
I noticed that we forgot to mention another sort of still forming idea concept, which we'd love to hear your feedback. And I'm really terrible at titling things, but I've titled it Amateur Hour only because I can't put another better title. But the idea behind it being, I feel like in my 20 years in Austin, that there is, you know, these workshops that we're doing once a month are focused on, you know, very professional practices in the industry, and they, what we don't do a lot of, and what I know, I'll just get to the point. There's a lot of very simple things I feel like that a lot of artists just don't have the skill yet, like things like how to take a good photo of your work and know how to bring it into Photoshop and crop it and send it to, you know, wherever you need to send it. But there's just a lot of people that just don't have, you know, necessary skills or skills that wind up being kind of expected. And I wonder if it's something that other people think about a lot too. Like, well, the example I just gave, like, how do you, well, I'll give my example in the fall that I experienced. I had never used, what's it called, Premiere before, and I was trying to put music behind images that I had, and so, you know, I had like 3 days of just like me trying to figure it out, and super frustrating, and finally got it, and it was so simple once I got it, and I had this moment of just like, God, I just wish, you know, I could share this very simple thing that I just learned with everyone else or other people, just so that they can potentially do a project, you know, just these like little bits of information we can teach each other. So the idea, again, that's still sort of formulating was, you know, is there a way that we can even have, you know, 15-minute or 30-minute sort of chunks of time where we are sort of each teaching each other, you know, small valuable skills that we can bring into our art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I think there's a lot of skill sharing and mutual aid that is not happening that could happen, that would be really amazing. And I was remembering as you were talking about the Creative Standards Summit, and some of the things we talked about back then were about having a clearinghouse almost, or a space where there's an ongoing dialogue. And this might be something that we can continue to move forward. Thank you, Cheyenne. USA, yes, very good organization. What was I saying? Shoot. I'm so old. Oh, I know. But that, yeah, we were talking about back then, and I've often thought it would be so amazing if we had like some kind of and I'm not a tech person at all, so this, like, that's why I can't figure out something like this. But if Aaron's a great tech person, but if we had some kind of clearinghouse or way where we could have like you know, videographers, choreographers, welders, writers, you know, people talking about like what kind of skills they have to share, and then other artists and other people talking about like what they have, what they need, and that there's a bartering, not really a bartering system, but like a network where, you know, if, like, for example, shipping sucks. Okay, so shipping artwork is like my nemesis. I've had a lot of problems in the past, and including a FedEx put a forklift through 2 paintings that I had to whatever.
Oh my God.
So if somebody has sold a painting, or they want to ship a painting somewhere and they have never shipped a painting before, they could just get on this little clearinghouse of info and be like, hey y'all, I need to ship this 48 by 48 inch piece to Timbuktu, and I have no idea where do I go, you know? And then people can just respond. And I don't know if it's like, I don't know if the platform is like a Facebook, or if we make a new platform or something, but I think that would be such an incredible way to utilize our skills and our resources, and share with each other our knowledge and support.
I love it, Cheyenne's idea too of a tool library that include pedestals, install equipment. Yeah, that would be amazing. Tall ladders, drills, all kinds of things. Yeah.
Who else has
We've talked about doing this database or, you know, social platform on the board for a couple of years, but it's just not a straightforward thing. But even if it was a basic forum or a Facebook group in the meantime, until we figure out the the real technology, as long as there's a way for big medium artists to interact and ask questions. I think it seems like a priority that we should get on.
Yeah.
Well, I think we would like to open up this last portion, last 10 minutes, to any questions. If any of the people out there would like to say anything, you can raise your hand and or put it in the chat.
Cheyenne's doing a crick group. That's awesome.
Yeah, Cheyenne started an amazing group a while ago that really helped me out, which was, I don't remember what it's called, Girls Guild. Like, and I don't know what it was called, but where young women and even children and preteens could sign up to be sort of mentored, but also help grown women artists. And I had so many amazing assistants come to me through that program. So Cheyenne, we would love to put your amazing skills to work if there's some kind of group you want to form in terms of, I don't know, doing the tool library or the crick group or whatever. You bring a lot to the table for sure. Good, yeah, email us.
Yeah,
Oh, was there another question?
I don't think so, no.
Let's see. What were the other, there were a couple other questions that we had as well, like what needs are not being met for you? Yeah, we already said that. How would you like to participate in this community? That's also a really good question, is like, what is it about your unique set of circumstances that that you would like to, like, how would you envision your ideal art community? What if it could be utopic? Dream big. What would it look like?
It would not be on Zoom.
Oh, yes.
And another easy one is just, of the things we've mentioned, like, what do you see yourself most likely to utilize? Like, is it the coffee chats? Would it be the artist hour or happy hour or whatever we want to call it? Is it workshops and how-tos? Do you want to watch artists interview each other, or do you want to see other arts professionals like gallery owners or art advisors, or things that could get you kind of behind the scenes of how some of that stuff works? If you want to just drop in the chat whatever's speaking to you the most in terms of what you would actually want to use, that could be really helpful for us too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, creative meditation practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting more into that. That's my total utopia. I love her.
Cheyenne, do you want to talk about what that means to you, creative meditation practice technique?
That's probably easier, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been, well, since the pandemic started, using Headspace pretty religiously to deal with my anxiety of, you know, being stuck in a lot of ways, feeling like I'm stuck in a lot of ways. And it's really opened a lot of really interesting doors in my creative practice. It allows me to kind of open my clear the space for the most important things to kind of bubble up. And oftentimes those important things are creative visions. So it's been really helpful to me. And I know there's lots of different techniques for kind of using that as part of your practice. And I guess I'm just you know, just starting to get into that, but would really love to see, I don't know, maybe a group of people who are interested in that kind of practice supporting each other in it.
Yeah, I love the idea too of like that. I mean, that would be kind of a nice way to be on Zoom and not be on Zoom, or, you know, we're connected, but you could just sort of be in your own space being guided in a meditation or whatever. And then we could all go off to our own practices but have that kind of connection. I mean, there's even the possibility of like doing that and then come back together. I don't know, that maybe is hard because people have different amounts of time that they would be in a creative flow, but I love that idea of something where you don't really have to necessarily even commit on video, but you could just have it in your ears, be with everybody, and then take that into your studio.
Mhm.
When we figure out the programming for the art therapy or whatever, that could go under the guise of that. I'm also happy to do a guided meditation. I'm a yin yoga instructor, and I'm happy to offer something like that.
That's a great idea. Lead some
Yeah.
yoga for artists.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe. Welcome. And let us know if you have any thoughts for programming or anything specific you want us to talk about.
One thing I've thought about too is, you know, without, I mean, I know there are galleries that are opening, you know, have shows where you can book appointments and some are just open. But there still feels like there is not a great way to share our own personal work other than on social media. So, you know, again, this is still a thought formulating, but just how can we share our work, and not so much a crit group, but more just like sharing, having time to just, you know, where each artist maybe shows a few of their pieces and just gets feedback, or is at least able to talk about what they were thinking when they made it, or but I feel like that's something I miss about not feeling super safe about going to art openings, but just the ability to look at other people's art and talk about it. So, you know, seems simple enough, but I wonder what that could look like as a program. Since we just don't know how long this is going to go on for. Yeah, we're all just missing connecting.
Laura is interested in being part of a cooperative gallery, artists connected to big medium, maybe a somewhat unlikely group of artists come together. But, you know, obviously with real estate being so high, it could be challenging, but there's always a way to make it happen if there's enough people wanting to make it happen.
And
Yeah.
Judy Paul says she loves the meditation. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Go back to
Oh no, hi Judy. I love that the idea of a artist. I think there's several artist collectives already going on in Austin so far, but that would be something that we could talk about during happy hour.
Totally.
Come to happy hour. We can chat about anything. There's no rules. My favorite way.
And Brady says she loves the meditation idea too. Judy does too. I think we're onto something with that. That could be
I
really
love that.
great. Mm-hmm.
Does anybody want to come on and just share about ideas or anything? Not necessarily have a question, but want to share about their experience being an artist in Austin and wanting to, you know, have a community and not feeling like they're.
Oh, Steve does. Steve Wyman, I'm not sure how to unmute.
Aaron, how do we unmute that?
There we go.
Thanks, Aaron.
Hey
Judy,
guys.
Hi, Steve.
Hi,
Steve.
Steve.
I just wanted to chime in. I'm really super excited about the conversation with Annette and Bailey. I think that sounds fantastic. I'm also really interested in the meditation practice because I know that there are lots of people who do lots of different kinds of meditation practices connected to their studio practice. That's exciting. And I want to throw out that, you know, because I have a retail shop, we are open and we are having limited capacity, you know, only like 20 people in at a time in our space. But that is, there are places to go out in our community to experience and see art. And I encourage everyone who can feel safe about doing that to you know, it's risk management. You figure out what it is that you're willing to do in your personal life to get you out into those situations to look and see things. And one of the things that's come up for us at Uncommon Objects is I have several artwork from a number of people. So it's turning into, you know, it's a lot of stuff, but it's like almost like a treasure hunt. There is artwork throughout the whole shop, and some of it's mine. Some of it is, I have a piece of Johnny Walker's, Dan Barry, and Bruce Lee, and Lance Letcher. So there are treasures hidden kind of throughout. And I don't want to make this be an advertisement, but I do want to plug being out in the world and finding those experiences, despite the fact that we are in this spot that we're in. Thanks.
You're right. You're right. And you know, and I have found too, the appointment, you know, a lot of galleries are doing appointments. It's sort of a wonderful way to go to a show because you are by yourself and you just can quietly, I mean, it's a totally different experience than openings. And so I agree, Steve. I encourage everyone to make appointments at their local galleries, and it's really quite pleasant.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think, you know, in Austin, the galleries are hopefully less intimidating to people than in a city like New York or something. But there can be that sense when you go in a gallery of like, you know, don't talk to anyone, and the person running the place doesn't want to talk to you, and you just sort of quietly go around and make your way back out. And with the appointments, I mean, it just changes the entire dynamic where you're the show. Like the fact that you showed up is such a great thing for the gallery, so you can really ask questions and engage with the art in a very like personal way. And Steve Kuhn says that there's an art experience at Dreamland. What is Dreamland?
You want to tell us about it, Steve?
Steve, you there?
Yeah, hi, this is Gareth McGuire. I'm speaking on Steve's behalf. I'm the art director here at Dreamland. We're a new property just outside of Austin, actually Dripping Springs, about a mile west of there, but we're creating a truly sort of one-of-a-kind art experience, basically bringing in established international muralists from all over the world, but also using, you know, local sort of beginner artists, and again, we've got large scale installations, sculptures by some incredible artists. So we do open to the public this weekend. We have a bunch more art en route to Dreamland, but we will be opening, and this will be a project that's going to continue to grow. But we would love to show our support. We love what you guys have got going on, and be it hosting happy hours or whatever in the interim, we would love to show our support for you guys. Or if it was hosting an artist salon or whatever it is in our space, we would be really happy to show our support for you guys in the immediate future and further down the line.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. I can't wait to see it.
Excited to have you guys out. If you want to just message me personally, of course, I'd be able to meet you guys and show you around. That would probably be the best way to see it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like
Huh?
we're,
And
go ahead.
Oh, no, I think we were about to say the same thing.
well, I was just going to say if anybody else had ideas of topics that they wanted to throw in the chat, but it's true, we're just about done. So you can either throw them in the chat or send us an email or fill out the survey and let us know your thoughts. Hopefully at this point you see that like it's just a group of artists trying to help other artists here. This is not a fancy institution where you've got to like, you know, it's not hard to get to us, and we would really love to be able to support all of you and each other and do whatever we need as a community to feel like we're still in this together.
Mhm.
Hold each other up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Well,
yeah, thank
what
you
were
all
you
for
gonna-
attending.
Thank you all
And-
so much for coming. This was so
Yeah.
much fun.
Yep,
I-
don't forget about the February 19th happy hour. Put it in your calendars.
Yeah.
We can do
And the
it
coffee
somewhere.
chat on the 18th.
And the coffee
That's
chat.
right.
And the coffee chat on the 18th. Yep. All right.
All right,
Well,
thank
thank you
you all.
everyone so much.
Happy creating.